Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to learn algebra. Today is our lesson number 140. Lesson number 140. We are in the process of doing word problem. From day number 101 through 200. Today is our 40th day. Today is our 40th day. KeshwaniPrep.com. It's important that we have that prep there. Here's the question for today. What must be subtracted from p minus 3q to have a leftover of p minus 5q. Again, you see, it sounds very abstract. One doesn't know what to do with it because it's an algebra and so forth. Well, if that's the case, if it's giving you trouble, if you're having trouble grasping it, feeling it, then the best thing to do, the safest thing to do, the safest route here for you would be to plug in values for P and Q. Plug in values for P and Q, convert this algebra problem into a simple arithmetic problem and see what happens. Whatever logic that applies there will apply here. For example, let's plug in values for P and Q. For example, we may say let's plug in 100 for P. So wherever we're going to see P, we're going to replace it with 100. And 10 for Q. Let's do that and see what happens, shall we? So wherever we see P, we're going to replace it with 100. We're going to plug in 100 for P and 10 for Q. So here we have 100 minus 3 times Q, which is 10. So how much is 100 minus 3 times 10? 100 minus 3 times 10 is 70. And what is this thing? This is 100, P is 100, minus 5Q, 5Q is 10. And how much is, let me rewrite that thing so it's legible. So how much is 5 times 10? 5 times 10 is 50. 100 minus 50 is 50. This whole thing is 50. So now the question reads, watch what happens. Now question reads, now that we have replaced P's and Q's with values, now the question reads, what must be subtracted from 70 to have a leftover of 50? Oh, for crying out loud. What should be subtracted from 70 to have a leftover of 50 is child's play. Not metaphorically, literally, it's child's play. A little child of 6-year-old can tell you what you must subtract from 70 to have a leftover of 50. You must subtract 20. Where does this 20 come from? How did we find that 20? Well, 20 came from the fact that if you want to have a leftover of 50 from 70, you must take your 70 and subtract 50 from it. What does 70 represent here? What does 70 represent here? 70 represents this guy right here, this expression. If you were to substitute P for 100 and Q for 10 and evaluate this expression, which is exactly what we learned in the first 20 days of our course, how to evaluate algebraic expressions. How to evaluate algebraic expressions is exactly what we're doing here. If you put in P equal to 100 and Q equal to 10 and evaluate this expression, it comes out with 70. So this 70 is actually P minus 3Q, P minus 3Q. And then we have minus 50, which is this guy. This guy is 50, P minus 5Q. And there's your answer. P minus 5Q is the 50, and P minus 3Q is your 70. All you have to do is find the difference. Let's do it. P minus 3Q, open the parenthesis, negative times positive is negative, so negative P and negative times, be careful, negative times negative would be positive. There's a negative outside and negative in front of 5Q, so it becomes positive 5Q. These P cancel out, and then we have a negative 3Q and a positive 5Q, giving us a difference of positive 2Q. Voila. The question was, what must be subtracted? The question was, what must be subtracted from P minus 3Q to arrive at P minus 5Q? The final answer is, we must subtract 2Q. We must subtract 2Q from this guy to get this guy, to have a leftover of that guy. Do you understand? That's all. Now if you like, so that was the algebraic way, that was the arithmetic way, that was the mathematical way, that was the academic way, the nerdy way, the geeky way. Now if you like, we can actually try to understand the intuitive reason behind it, the intuitive logic behind it, the gut logic, if you like, the intuitive way. Watch what happens. I'm going to erase everything that we do not need, okay? Everything is going to be gone. I'm just going to leave it the part that we need. We're done with the problem, that's it. Question was, what must be subtracted from this quantity P minus 3Q to have a leftover of this guy? Well, we are starting out with this guy and we want at the end this leftover. Okay, listen carefully. We are starting out with this guy and at the end we want to have leftover of this. So obviously we cannot subtract P because we started out with P and at the end we still want P. So nothing is going to happen to P. So that part is done. What do you suppose must be subtracted from here to turn the 3Q into negative 5Q? I have negative 3Q. What do you suppose I need to take away from it? What do you suppose I need to take away from it to make it a negative 5Q? We need to take away 2Q. Take away means subtract it. We have a positive 2Q here. We're going to subtract this positive 2Q. We're going to subtract this positive 2Q, like this. Negative 3Q minus a positive 2Q. A negative 2Q, negative 3Q that we started out with, what should we take away? What should we subtract so that at the end we have a negative 5Q? The negative 5Q. What we must subtract is this quantity right here. You see? This positive 2Q is what we're going to subtract, and subtract means you have to change the sign. And then it becomes negative 5Q. You understand? And that has to do with, and if this is giving you trouble, what I just explained to you, if this is giving you a little bit of trouble, that is not a good sign. That tells me that you jumped in this portion of the course, in the middle of the whole thing. You did not listen to me. If you're having trouble with some basic things like this, you must start the course from day number 1. Because if you're having trouble with this thing, which means that you have not comprehended, you have not understood, you have not mastered the concept of how to add and subtract algebraic expressions, which is what we did the next 30 days. After the first 20 days, from day number 21 through 50, for those 30 days, we learned how to add and subtract algebraic expressions, which is what we're doing here. Anyway, that was the end of it. And that was the end of our lesson for today, day number 140. I will see you tomorrow on day number 141. Alright? 141st. Bye now.